It's been a little while. Hello everyone. Speaking of been a while and other things regarding time, this deck profile is definitely not on time and quite late, but yeah, apologies. I've been away for most of this week, actually. The main reason is just kind of not having the mental state to record or anything, and in general just not do much in general, but I don't want to get into those details. But above all else, I'm feeling good again and I'm here to make videos again, and that's the most important thing right now. But anyway, today we're going to take a look at my Blau standard deck profile. I've recorded this probably at least 7 times by now, because at first I had it recorded just fine the first time I tried to record it, and then I realized that for some reason my OBS decided to just crank up the CPU usage to 80% instead of the usual 9%. And that made the video lag a lot, and even though everything was fine when I was recording, the final video was super laggy. So I redid it 7 times while trying to fix it, and then eventually fixed it, and then life happened. Anyway, so today we're going to take a look at Blau's. It's a very fun standard deck, really budget as well, very cheap to pick up, and overall just good if you're starting out in Vanguard. Not only that, it's also really easy to upgrade into Premium, which is also a very big plus, so you can have a deck that you can enjoy a lot in Standard, then when you feel like upgrading it into Premium, it's also very easy to upgrade there as well. But anyway, without any further ado, let's get into the deck profile and talk about the cards. For those of you waiting for Zero content, that's coming up as well. I'm going to get the DifferentFight out somewhere in the coming days, so you can look forward to that. Anyway, first things first, we have Blaukluger. So we have 8 grade 3s in this deck, and of course they are Blaus because this deck is built on Blaus. So Blaukluger says, Vanguard Circle, continuous during your turn. If you have Blaukluger in your soul, so specifically the grade 2, all your grade 3 units with Blau in their card names get plus 10k power, and then Vanguard Circle, at the end of the battle he attacked, you can discard 2 from your hand and choose a Galaxy Blaukluger from your Vanguard Circle, bind it, and then write it as stand, and that unit gets drive -1. So this card is already really good. It puts the whole deck online essentially, and that makes it really nice. So he's always your optimal first grade 3 ride target, and we can do that pretty consistently because of all the searching that this deck can do, especially for the grade 3s in particular. And so then of course we already mentioned him, but we have to, show his partner in crime, which is none other than our beloved Galaxy Blaukluger. Alright, so Galaxy Blau says he has the same first skill as the Blaukluger, so you have the grade 2 Blau in your soul, but his second skill says when he attacks on Vanguard Circle, you can count +1 and call a Blaukluger from your soul to Vanguard Circle. And then when he's rode upon by a Blau, then you can also call him out. So basically what's going to happen is that you're going to ride into this, swing with it, and then use this guy's skill to ride this on top, so you're going to get a second Axle Circle from that, and then when he attacks, you're going to be able to count +1 to call this back out. And then next turn, when you have this in hand again, you can ride over him, and then just as soon as you ride, his skill goes off and calls himself back out. So they kind of like recur each other in that sense, and that's what makes them partners in crime. So very, very good pair of units, and it makes the deck just very cohesive. You get to do 2 Vanguard swings just going first on your turn 3 as well, and they're all pretty big because they're all hitting for like 22 minimum, 27 on Axle 2s, and then we're playing fronts in this deck as well, so that helps to push those numbers on top of that. So already very, very nice and just a good start. So that's our grade 3s. Now let's take a look at the grade 2s. Grade 2 wise, we're going to start out with our 4 Blaukluger. So Blaukluger says he's the grade 2, of course, very important to have him in the soul. When placed, count +1 and look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Blau in its card name from among them and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So we run a lot of Blaus. We run 4 grade 2s, 8 grade 3s, and 4 grade 1s, sorry. And so therefore you have a lot of targets in your deck to actually hit from just riding the grade 2 as well, which is really, really nice. And his other skill is, so as you saw, like, you have to have him in the soul ride to do the grade 3 skills to give plus 10k power. So if you don't manage to ride him, which is optimally the best way to put him into the soul, you can also use a second skill, which is after the end of the battle that he attacked on Rearguard Circle, if you have a Blau Vanguard, so you have to be on grade 3, then you can put him into your soul and draw a card. Also, you can use it if you have, like, if you rode him and you have a second copy, you can also do that too, but of course that's mainly used to fix the issue with not having him in the soul. So that's like the main thing we're going to use him for. For some reason my camera is autofocusing on Gabriel's name, which I guess, I don't mind it. I respect my camera's priorities. Anyway, then we have Cool Hank, so he's our next grade 2. So Cool Hank is also pretty cool, to put it lightly. He has his second skill, which is the most important thing, which is once per turn when he attacks, discard 1 to stand in rear guard. So we're going to be, our grade 3 Blaus are pretty big because they're hitting for at least 22, and then with fronts they're going to get even bigger. So the optimal thing is to just attack with a Vanguard a bunch of times, check some fronts, and then put all the power on our Blaus and then restand them with Cool Hank, and that's also really nice. And on top of that, if you do have to ride him because you didn't hit your regular Blaukluger, you can just, hit like anything, whether it's Vanguard or Rear Guard, to Soul Blast 1 and draw a card. So that's also really nice, but of course be careful not to Soul Blast your Blaukluger. That's very, very important. And now this is where I feel like maybe not a lot of people will be playing the same grade 2s, but I got this idea from Zistrel from Yellow Card Vanguard. He kind of showed me that this card is actually pretty cool in standard Novas, especially right now, which is the Cutting Jer. So Cutting Jer is a really interesting card. He's basically a street bouncer, so his skill is when placed on rearguard circle, you can rest him, soul blast 1 and rest him another rearguard to then draw a card. So why is this nice? Simply because on like earlier turns, you're not going that aggressive or anything anyway, so if you're just like calling down cards just for future turns, then you can easily just like, you know, put this down and then be able to draw cards. On top of that, there's a play where you can actually put your Galaxy Blaukluger behind your Vanguard instead of putting it on Axle Circle, simply because that way you don't actually leave any of your front row circles open after you do the Stern into Galaxy Blau combo, because normally, because this binds itself from rearguard circle, when you get the extra Axle Circle from this, you still have one open rearguard circle. Whereas if this is behind the Vanguard or just in the back row, you'll have all occupied circles, and then you ride this from the back row. Therefore, you're making a new Axle Circle, but then when this attacks, the Sternblau will be pushed out into that new Axle Circle, and therefore you can actually, for example, like call this in the back row and then call a Jer, and then basically draw an extra card while you're actually just getting ready for your next combo. And on top of that, like drawing those cards is really good simply because we need those grade 3 Blaus in order to do the game-winning turn. So the more grade 3 Blaus you have, the more of a powerful field you're going to get. And on top of that, because we don't always have all front rows occupied, I'm playing one Kick Typhoon, so he is still a really nice card though. So when he attacks once per turn, you can, if all your front rows have a rearguard on them, you can almost one and standard rearguard. So just like another copy of Cool Hank, except, you know, cost counterblast instead, and then when you place him on Vanguard Circle or an additional rearguard circle, you can give a unit plus 5k, so you can give that to one of your grade 3 Blaus. So that is our grade 2 lineup. Moving forward into the realm of grade 1s, I need to give some kind of some food to the slap counter. So we have 4 of the Blau Panzer. So this guy does have a misprint, so do keep that in mind. You can see here it says when placed by riding from Blaukluger. That's not possible because that's from a grade 2, so it's when placed from riding from Blau Jungas, which is the grade 0 starter that I can just pull it out right now. It's this one, so you have to run that starter. So when you place him from the starter, from the Blau starter, you basically get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck to search for a Blau, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So basically, like I said, you have 16 total targets in the deck that can potentially hit, and of course going first especially, it's very nice. It's just the free +1, and then on rearguard circle, if you call him, you can discard a trigger to search your deck for any grade 3 Blau in his card name, reveal it, and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So this way you can actually set up for the Stern and Galaxy if you don't have one or the other. And on top of that, this will also, like, when you ride this, you're usually looking for the grade 2, so then later on, if like the grade 2 whiffs or something, when you ride it, you can always just like call another extra copy to just search yourself a Stern Blaukluger if you really still need it. So really good card just for that reason, so I definitely do like him a lot, and very nice art. They all got really nice art, to be honest. On top of that, we have 4 of the old starter back in the original days, which is Morgenrot. So he used to be a starter, now he's a grade 1. His skill is very simple. At the end of your turn, you can retire him to bounce one of your rearguard, to bounce one of your rearguard Blaus in his card name to your hand. So why would you do that? It's as I showed really earlier. So, you know, normally you attack with this, and then from the rearguard circle, you bind this and ride it, and then when this attacks, he will call him out, right? And then you want to still be able to do the same combo next turn, so that's why you would use Morgenrot to retire itself, add this back to your hand, so that when your next turn rolls over, you can just ride over this, and then the Galaxy Blau will instantly call itself out, and there you go. Once again, you can attack, discard 2, restand, and, you know, just do the same thing all over again. So that's what makes this card really good, and that's why we run as a 4 of, because it's actually very important just to do what the deck wants to do. Of course, it is like retiring grade 1 means kind of like losing 10k shield, but if you are, you know, like in a comfortable position where you can just go for game next turn, I think it's actually pretty okay. Alright, and then moving forward, this is the grade 1 that maybe not a lot of people will agree with as well, which is the Arashid. So why am I playing Arashid? Well, the main reason is, and this is again something that I got from playtesting with Zistrel, is that by running grade 3 searchers like Arashid, you're basically reducing the amount of failure that you can hit with this deck. So it's just reducing these like redundant scenarios, and basically like by having as much grade 3 searching in your deck as possible, that's just the most amount of grade 3s you can hit, the most amount of Blaus that you can hit to actually do your finishing turn, and on top of that, making sure that you have Stern and Galaxy in your hand. On top of that, because we're running Cool Hank and we're usually restanding 1 rear per turn once we hit grade 3, this will be a 13k booster pretty consistently. So that makes the card pretty good as well. But that is it for grade 1s. Of course, if you want to, so to keep it budget, this is a triple rare that could be cut technically. So if you want to keep it budget, you can replace this for like a Shout if you want to, but I feel like Shout doesn't really do that much for the deck. So feel free to experiment and see what else you can do with this deck. And maybe some people in the comments have other preferences that feel free, to let me know as well. But anyway, that is it for our grade 1s. Finally, our triggers are very straightforward, nothing too complex here or anything too big brain. We have 4 heals, the new heal, because she looks pretty cool. It's nice to have something new for once. Then we have 4 Twin Blader, our draw PG, so no crit sentinels in this. That'll be for Victor later on, so talk about in the future. And then 4 of the Blabber front, and then 4 of the Riser front. So running 8 fronts simply because it's good to hit the fronts onto our Blaus and then just make them super beefy, restand them, attack with them a bunch of times, and just overrun the opponent like that. And of course, Blaukluger is our starter because he's just necessary for the grade 1. So that's also very important, and that basically wraps up the deck as well. And that's basically going to do it for this deck profile of standard Blaus. It's also very easy to upgrade into premium, so I might do a deck profile on that if you guys are interested. So let me know in the comments if you are. Like I said, it's very easy deck to pilot, pretty cheap to pick up, very, very fun, and like just in standard alone already, and then in premium it's also pretty easy to upgrade as well. Although there maybe it's a little bit harder to find the pieces because they're pretty old, but still, it's very, very fun, very good deck, very fun deck overall, and just like, it's just a really good budget deck. I'm glad that Bushiroad is doing this more often these days, like this deck and then No CL in the next set. They're just really nice budget decks that you can build that are actually competitive, and like people in Japan still consider Blaus to be pretty up there and like a tournament threat as well, even the VBT12 format. So that's something worth to keep in mind. Before I sign off though, if you guys haven't already, I do recommend checking out my Twitch channel. I generally stream there 3 times a week, usually Vanguard related stuff, so feel free to drop us a follow. I'm trying to reach 10k followers before the end of the year, and we're 500 away, so getting really close, but I do need your guys' support on that one. And on top of that, if you want to check out the other stuff I do that is non-Vanguard related, I also have a second channel called DifferentFight, so you can check that out as well if you want to. But on that note, that is going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.